Val Wilson got her start in radio while in college at Texas Southern University's KTSU in Houston. Her career took off from there with stints at Houston's KRLY, KYOK, KMJQ, KNUZ, KHYS, and KBXX. In particular, many Houston listeners remember her contributions to the funky Larry Jones Morning Show at KMJQ. During that time, she also co-hosted Sunday Morning Live. Val has now moved into the world of academia, currently serving as an adjunct professor at the Texas Southern University School of Communication. And, showing sometimes that it all comes back to where it started, Val also works as a streaming coordinator at KTSU Radio. These days, Val can be heard on Salem Radio's KKHT and KNTH in Houston. Please welcome Val Wilson to the Texas Radio Hall of Fame.
I want to start off by just sharing my story a little bit. I'm one of those rarities in broadcasting. My whole career was in Houston, Texas. Started off, I grew up in Houston, went to college in Houston, started working radio in Houston, continued to work radio in Houston, and I'm now teaching at the university where I learned and started off in radio, KTSU. So for me to be in this room today and be able to meet face-to-face people that I grew up listening to in Houston, like Lee Jolly and Mighty Quinn and KRBE when I was in high school, and so many others in this audience right now, it's a pleasure because it just drives home the fact that radio, you never know who's listening, but it impacts everyone. So thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you. To the president of the TAB, I need you to know that every semester, I've been teaching 12 years now, I teach my students, I go to the website and I review all of the things that's there for them to learn. We go through the job bank. I show them how to look for jobs, the various different jobs across the state of Texas. So it's a pleasure to meet you. Took your picture, and on Tuesday I'll be telling them about you and sharing my experiences today. All right, I'm getting kind of nervous now. If I tear up, bear with me. I just want to go through a list of people who've been instrumental in my life, in my career, my radio career. I want to start off with KTSU. My very first program director, PTC, Pamela Teresa Collins. We're about the same age, but you're college radio. And she helped me to understand, because I was a theater kid. All right, and to make that adjustment from theater to just sitting in a room behind a microphone. And it's a different way of communicating when you're in radio. So that's why I've always admired so many people in radio who are just natural talkers, natural communicators, because it is a gift. H.F. Stone. H.F. Stone was, to me, the most melodious voice I've ever heard from any female in radio. She was one of the first female broadcasters middays at Magic 102 in Houston, Texas. So I want to acknowledge H.F. Stone. Miss Ann Davis, All-Pro Broadcasting. And for those of you that are familiar with the Houston market, a lot of these names should be familiar to you. Mr. Charles Porter, KTSU. Rick Roberts, KYOK, who is in the Hall of Fame. Mr. Don Rosette, very instrumental general manager for me. Captain Bruce Nelson, KNUZ. Steve Harris, Love 94, my very first program director when I went from working at KTSU to a commercial radio station environment. Monty Lang. For those of you in Houston, Texas, you don't know radio unless you have known or worked with Monty Lang. He gave me the persona of Val Wilson. I went from being Angela Smith to Val Wilson on the radio. So thank you, Monty Lang. Ernie Jackson, who was the general manager during the Clear Channel period, that iteration of Magic 102. And now I'm back home with Mr. Ernest Walker, who was the current general manager at KTSU. Some other friends in the business that I've known over the years have always been able to pour into me. Million White, Bernard Lee, Marco Spoon, Ron Samuels, from Salem Communications, who recently passed away. Another girlfriend of mine in the industry, because you always want to support your women in the industry, Myrtle Denley, wonderful production person. We worked in Love, she worked over at Sunny, and we did production there at Magic 102 and 97.9 The Box. Fallen friend, Mike Smith. We wouldn't do radio if we didn't have our promotions people. And Mike was a wonderful promotions guy. He unfortunately left us back in the 90s, but he would be geeked to be here in this wonderful space if he was here today. Also, the people most instrumental for me in my broadcast career, Mike Cavell, who has also passed away, my big brother. Learned a lot from him as far as professionalism in radio. I remember at Love 94, I created this wonderful commercial because I'm a production person. 70 seconds long. I remember Mike reamed my behind because it was 70 seconds. It was not within that 60-second window. And I took it and I learned from that. And he, from that point forward, became my big brother in radio. I miss him dearly. Bill Travis. If you know Houston radio, especially Magic 102, you know that voice. Bill Travis, my production mentor. Dr. J. Thomas Smith, the world famous Dr. J. Thomas Smith, afternoons, one of the first jocks at Magic 102. Pam Wells, actually my big sister, and I would not understand programming and just the value of women in the industry if I didn't have Pam Wells to look up to. Getting really emotional now. Chuck Tiller, I wouldn't be here right now, nominated or inducted, if it wasn't for Chuck Tiller, who is an inductee, been a friend who worked various different radio stations throughout the city. He is a walking encyclopedia of radio station knowledge, especially in the Houston-Galveston area. And if you all will indulge me with this final name, Funk, would you come and join me? Please, if it wasn't for Funky Larry Jones. All right, I learned how to be a good announcer, which allowed me to work in various different stations there in the Houston market, but I really learned how to be a personality, how to do a morning show, the nuances of being a talent from this guy, Funky Larry Jones. So many times during, and you know what it's like, so I'm not talking to people don't have an understanding. Between the songs, you're doing a morning show, and we're providing entertainment, but we're all going through things. We're going through our marriages, our divorces, me, him, and Chili Bill Smith, we're crying in between songs and all of those things, our children's births and all of this. And thank you, Larry, because I would not be here. And I wouldn't be able to pass on this knowledge to my students if it wasn't for you. So I thank you. And I thank